In this podcast episode, Julian Dorey joins for an in-depth and wide-ranging conversation that touches on Julian's recent work surrounding Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell, insights on Epstein's death, and the broader implications of global power dynamics. The dialogue covers the personal toll of podcasting, cultural observations on Florida and New Jersey, deep conspiratorial explorations, and reflections on politics, media, and society's evolving landscape. Throughout, Julian shares exclusive details about his investigation into Epstein's final days, alongside commentary on figures like Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, and the state of world affairs, all wrapped with humor and candid personal anecdotes. The episode begins with Julian Dorey reconnecting with the host after several years, expressing excitement about being in person after mostly phone interactions. They discuss the challenges of winter months in New Jersey compared with the sunny warmth of Florida, joking about acquiring vitamin D and tans before heading back north. Julian reflects on his evolving hairstyles and his ongoing work ethic in podcasting, emphasizing the importance of staying accountable and maintaining sanity by showing up consistently despite the demanding nature of frequent content creation. Julian shares candid experiences about his middle child, humorously describing the unique pressures and dynamics of being a middle child compared to his other offspring. He touches on the idea that middle children often receive less attention, leading to behavioral traits that might later serve them in demanding fields like Hollywood. The conversation moves into deeper existential musings about how future generations will navigate a world increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence, social media, and potentially invasive technologies like neural links, raising concerns about personal autonomy and privacy. The hosts discuss the overwhelming nature of constant news cycles, social media distractions, and the difficulty of staying informed without becoming mentally exhausted or depressed. They acknowledge the blurred lines between necessary awareness and unhealthy obsession, cautioning against letting doom scroll culture consume one's life. While it is important to understand global events and political maneuvers, they stress the value of maintaining a balanced perspective and focusing on what can be controlled. Julian talks about collaborations with Tommy G, a prolific and passionate documentarian known for his raw and diverse coverage, including risky street-level projects like New York's Most Wanted Drivers. These projects bring insight into subcultures and dangerous activities, though with a clear stance against reckless behavior. Julian praises Tommy's fearless style and recounts memorable episodes involving intense audio editing and undercover operations, highlighting the challenge and excitement of documentary storytelling. A major focus is Julian's recent work with Booamonte, who physically reconstructed Jeffrey Epstein's prison cell to uncover new details about Epstein's death. They meticulously recreated the exact layout, including items like pill bottles, torn sheets, and books to match official crime scene photos. This reconstruction led to startling revelations, notably that there is a structural anomaly in Epstein's cell, a secret or unaccounted-for feature not present in official schematics, raising critical questions about what actually happened and opening the door to the theory that Epstein did not die by suicide as officially reported. Julian describes the shift in mindset during the reconstruction process as Andy laid out evidence and physics-based demonstrations that challenged the official suicide narrative. They explore the possibility that Epstein was alive after his reported death, supported by indications like fake prison footage and discrepancies in cell layouts released by authorities. This leads to speculation that Epstein might have escaped or been secretly kept alive, citing suspicious imagery such as Palm Beach Pete, a lookalike who has capitalized on the uncanny resemblance to Epstein. The conversation turns lighter as they discuss Palm Beach Pete, a character who physically resembles Jeffrey Epstein and has gained viral fame, even appearing on various media platforms and Cameo. They explore the bizarre world of impersonations and how such figures can serve as distractions or mirrors to the original scandals, while blending dark humor with commentary on wealth, notoriety, and public perception. Julian and the host delve into the failures of justice in high-profile cases like Epstein's, pointing to a lack of accountability for powerful figures involved in scandals. They critique political pardons granted to controversial individuals, highlighting how the system often protects elites regardless of wrongdoing, and discuss the broader implications of political theater where public trust in institutions continues to erode. They reflect on the evolution of podcasting as a medium for uncovering truths ignored by mainstream media. Julian emphasizes the power and responsibility of independent voices to balance dark stories with humor and relatability. They also acknowledge fatigue and cynicism can set in among content creators, but commitment to truth-telling keeps them going. The conversation touches on America's polarized political environment, describing it as a unit party where public contention belies a shared elite agenda. They discuss the generational divide highlighted by figures like Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, pointing to cultural as much as political struggles. The shifting perceptions of politicians, including Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massie, are debated with skepticism about whether true change can come from traditional political figures given systemic constraints. Julian offers insights into Steve Bannon's enigmatic and controversial role as a chaos agent in modern politics. He outlines Bannon's influence extending from his involvement in media, political campaigns, and even financing cultural projects like the show Seinfeld. The discussion portrays Bannon as a master manipulator, positioned within a larger network of intelligence and political interests, complicating narratives about individual agency and systemic control. They analyze the concept of a hierarchical supra-government, where visible leaders and politicians are middle layers beneath shadowy banking families and fixer classes. Epstein is positioned within this complex social strata, seen neither purely as a mastermind nor an innocent, but as a participant in a multi-layered system of global power. The hosts acknowledge the difficulty of discerning full truths in such an opaque structure. Despite the darkness surrounding Epstein's case, Julian notes increased public awareness facilitated by leaked files and citizen journalism. However, he laments the absence of meaningful consequences, emphasizing that exposure alone is insufficient without systemic change. The podcast reflects on the overwhelming amount of misinformation and released data without contextual interpretation, underscoring challenges in navigating the modern information landscape. Discussions on generational divisions surface, linking social media platforms like TikTok to shifting political and cultural landscapes. They comment on how older generations often cling to identity-anchoring beliefs, while younger generations challenge narratives and disrupt traditional paradigms. This dynamic plays into broader conflicts over ideology, truth, and societal directions. Amidst heavy topics, the hosts share an optimistic philosophical view that despite short-term victories by evil or chaos, humanity's overall progress tends to improve life quality over time. They acknowledge cyclical societal challenges, but hold on to hope that knowledge, awareness, and cultural growth will lead to better futures. Throughout the episode, Julian and the host share anecdotes about friends, industry figures, and personal experiences, including stories about celebrities, filmmakers like Harmony Korine, filmmakers involved in underwater cinematography, and interactions with notable podcast guests like John Kiriakou. These stories provide color and depth to their narrative, highlighting the interconnectedness of cultural, political, and media figures. They emphasize the importance of comedy and entertainment as coping mechanisms and tools for social critique. Comedians like Tim Dillon and George Carlin are applauded for their ability to distill complex cultural realities into accessible humor, helping audiences process difficult truths while remaining engaged. The podcast closes on a note of technological apprehension, discussing AI, surveillance, and the potential for increasingly invasive control mechanisms. The hosts ponder how future societies might grapple with privacy, autonomy, and the blending of organic and synthetic realities, with a mix of skepticism and cautious curiosity. Finally, the conversation touches on personal experiences and impressions of Florida's diverse regions compared to New Jersey's climate and lifestyle. They discuss population shifts, local attitudes, and the unique characters inhabiting these areas, underlining the cultural variance even within the United States. The episode ends by highlighting Julian Dorey's persistence and innovation as a self-made creator who continuously pushes boundaries in investigative media. His work on Epstein and broader cultural commentary solidifies his position as a key voice in uncovering and interpreting some of the most complex narratives of our time.